I needed to actively remind myself that I cannot drink or eat anything anymore for the next 10 hours because tomorrow I have to get up quite early to do a health check yet again in 2024 for my company. So just internalize that for a minute. Julie, you cannot drink any water, you cannot eat any snacks, okay? Now, last time I told you about my birthday trip, and that was such a long podcast. It was like 2 hours long. For those of you who were listening to it, insane. I appraise your effort and thank you so much for listening to what I'm saying because I speak Japanese. Like I just be yapping. It's all one take too. So it's kind of insane how I talked to myself for 2 hours. Now, last time I mentioned there was something else that I did last weekend, but because we were so far in to the freaking motherland trip, there were no space nor energy left inside of me to fit in last week's podcast. So I'm going to talk about it now. Basically, me and my friend, oof, that's not good. I'm an English teacher. My friend and I decided to go to this other city. It's called Suwon. And there's this giant mall that recently opened. It's called the Starfield. And in that Starfield, there are a lot of fun things, okay? They had like a vinyl cafe. They have like all these different shops. They have arcade. And then let me just tell you about the adventure we went on in Suwon because that day was super hectic. Then I'm going to tell you what happened yesterday, which is a Saturday. We had our very first company sports day, or at least it's the first one that I attended. Also had tons of fun. I'm going to tell you about it. Then lastly, to wrap up the night, I had some sort of kind of like a confession session at a random Dunkin's with my coworker who's more like a friend. So for you, grab yourself something to drink, or a snack, or do your chores because I'm about to tell you everything that has happened from last week to this weekend. Oh my gosh, yes, I also finished my new video and you would not believe where I ended up finishing editing my video. So here we go. Let me start by saying, have you ever had this kind of friendship where you meet this person and then you start connecting through very small things, but it kind of just snowballed into deeper conversations? Well, recently I met someone like that. And first of all, she shares the same name as my sister, so it was already very wicked. Secondly, there were just a lot in common. It was like we were doing this Venn diagram and we had more things in the middle part, the overlapping section, rather than the parts on the outside. So, needless to say, we were making decent connections, right? And from the beginning. And one day we had decided, you know what? There's this giant mall that has opened in the place called Suwon. It's south. I wanted to say it's south of Seoul. And it seems like they have all kinds of fun things that both of us are interested in. Why don't we just take a trip down to Suwon and check it out? So luckily, in the upcoming weeks, which is like, I think it was last week, if not last week, on a Wednesday, it was actually a red day. So red day is a holiday here in Korea. And that day happened to be the voting day. So I guess to make sure that everyone has the time to vote, on that day, we don't have to go to work. So we're like, well, neither of us are citizens of Korea. We can't vote. Might as well use it to our advantage. So from Seoul to Suwon, from where I live, luckily I'm living next to like an express line. I could get there within like an hour. But for her, it was more like an hour, 45-minute pushing 2 hours. So both of us arrive tragically because there is this card that the Seoul transportation system, transportation government, department has released. It's called a climate card. Basically, when you use a climate card, you can travel anywhere within Seoul at like a fixed rate. That's not a good way to explain it. Imagine this. This climate card is something you have to recharge every month, and the recharging fee is 62,000 won. After you charge 62,000 won, let's say if you're someone who takes transportation a lot, you don't have to worry about how many times you're taking within the month because it's a fixed fee. So once your climate card expires after a month, all you have to do is just recharge it again. Whereas currently, every single ride is X amount of dollars. So if you have to commute a lot, you have to pay a lot each month, right? So this was an incentive for people to use transportation more by giving you this option of, if you buy this card, this is how much you have. This is the only amount that you have to pay. So if you commute a lot, this would be a great option for you. So I was actually recommended by a coworker. She said, you should grab this right now. And that was like the day it was released. I was like, what is this? He said, well, this card you can use anywhere within, the keyword is within Seoul. And you won't have to like spend too much money. It's a fixed rate. And I thought, okay, that's pretty cool. And you know what? Apparently millions and thousands of other people thought of the same idea because the climate card was sold out for a good while. So people were scrambling to get it. And then if they didn't get it when it was first released, now people are reselling the climate card on like Carrot Market. Carrot Market is kind of like their version of eBay, but it's localized. Anyways, because Taro was trying to get one and he was having a lot of trouble. And I was like, why don't you check out like Carrot Market? I'm pretty sure people are reselling it. He was like, people resell that? I was like, yeah. So someone resold it for like $10, which is not too bad. And because the original price is like 3,000. So, it's fine. It's an investment for yourself. What was I talking about? Yes. Okay. So the keyword is within Seoul. Okay. Suwon is not within Seoul. My chickpea brain took the climate card, beep, and got on line number 1. Line number 1 is an express line. So you need to be careful which one you get on because they will take you to very different points out of the city. And I had failed to realize the fact that if I were to tap my card when I get on a station in Seoul, I would not be able to tap out at a station that is outside of Seoul. Because remember, climate card only functions within the city. So lo and behold, an hour later, I'm like in the chippy mood. Why? Because I'm earlier than my friend. I'm like, I'm gonna be there on time because she was running a little late. And I go to the terminal, the turning thing. And then I beep and it goes beep, beep, beep. And I was, oh, what? The screen was red. I know red is bad, okay? Like everything in nature has taught me that red is bad. So I'm like, okay, what? Let me try again. Beep, beep, beep. It was not going through. So the card was invalid. And I'm thinking like, why is it invalid? Then it dawned on me, because you're in Suwon, Julie. Suwon is outside of Seoul. This card doesn't work, so I couldn't get out. Well, technically I could just, like be a subway surfer and jump over it and I could get out, but I'm pretty sure that's illegal and I'm not about to do that. So I tried my regular bank card. So our regular bank card, if you ask at the bank for the function to turn it into a transportation card, you can. And every single month, however much money you spend on transportation, it's taken out at like a fixed date that you pick. So I'm trying my regular card, which wouldn't work because you needed 2 points of contact, the place that you got on and the place that you get off. So I've never tapped that card when I got on, so therefore it didn't exist in the system, right? So I tapped it again and it goes beep, beep, beep. Of course, right? Logic. So I'm looking at my 2 cards in my hand and I'm like, well, I'm screwed. Either I commit a crime or I can't get out, which is silly if you think about it, because the place was only like to my hip. So if I jump, like technically nothing is stopping me except like morality. So luckily there was this lady who was working for the, subway. She was changing something at a vending machine not too far away from me, and I had tried to signal her for help. And through my broken Korean, I tried to tell her the situation of, hi, Miss Lady, I'm a dumbass, and I've forgotten that I cannot use this outside of Seoul, and I'm stuck. Please help. And she said, okay. So she called someone and then she said, someone will come down and help you. So I was like, okay. So I stood there and waited. And maybe about like 5 minutes later, there's another worker with kind of like a POS on his hand. And then he asked me to give him like the card, my climate card. And he placed it on top of his POS and probably like, I don't know, just reset it. And then he asked for my bank card again to charge the actual fee because I mean I needed to pay a fee, right? Especially if the climate card doesn't work. So after he did that, I was able to beep myself out and that was that. And then I learned my lesson. I'm like, okay, let's not do that again, Julie. So I got to Suwon, then the Starfield Mall is like right outside the station, so I could see it. And I took a picture of my getting distracted. Taro, I'm trying to commit to my commitments. And I sent her a picture. I'm like, okay, I'm a little bit early, but it's a little bit chilly outside, so I'm just gonna chill inside. I'm gonna sit right across from this cafe. It's called Super Matcha. So I just sat there and I was reading because I had a book with me, and not too long after she arrived, and then we began our weekend shenanigans. So our main our main goal was to go to this vinyl cafe. So there's this vinyl. So in every not in every Starfield. In certain Starfields, so the Starfield in Coex in Seoul, if you have ever heard about it, there's this like big star library, and it's like you just see this like floor to ceiling bookshelves filled with books. It looks very grand, very fancy, but that one is in Gangnam. The one in Suwon is also extremely extravagant. Like it just looks like a bookworm's dream. And the architecture, the design is very modern and it's very like picturesque. And a lot of people come to Suwon just to take picture of that bookshelf and of that star library. And this vinyl cafe, it's situated like right, I wouldn't say right across from it, but adjacent to it. So through like the window, you can kind of see the library in the background and then see all these other like floors in the shopping mall. So we wanted to go try out the vinyl cafe because my friend had never been. And I was like, I love vinyl, I'm down. So we went in there. That was the first thing that we did, which in hindsight, we should have done that after we've eaten because the food court was crazy after we got out of the vinyl cafe. But at the cafe, you can take 3 vinyls at a time. And then after you return those 3, then you can borrow 3 more. So the entrance fee is about 19,000 won. We got in, we picked our selection. We pick our selection. Is that right? Is that right, Julie? I don't know. It's been a long day. My grammar is not grammaring. And then we started listening. The first album I got was Whiplash from the movie. I really liked that album and I listened to it quite a lot. So Whiplash, then it was Chet Baker, It Could Happen to You. Then what was the third one that I had? The third one that I have was an indie album by George. It was like FRR. Then after those 3, it took quite a while. While I was listening, I was also reading the book that I brought with me. And then it was like very peaceful because both of us were reading and listening to music at the same time. And, you know, lately I've just enjoyed company without like actively having the need to fill the silence. You know, I think if you're able to sit in silence with someone, that's a good indication of like compatibility in a sense, because sometimes we feel like we have to say something or else it becomes awkward or it feels unnatural. But if you can share a space without actively needing to fill it with words, that is also a form of like accompaniment as well. So it was very peaceful. We're both reading, and then we had this, like, we were sharing this stack of sticky notes because, like, while I was reading, I had some thoughts and I wanted to write it down. I was like, oh, dang it, I should have brought my notebook. And she's like, I have sticky notes. And so we were doing that, and that was really cute. Then as for round two, because after round two I got really hungry, so we went to the food court after. But for round two, I got Harry Styles. Oh gosh, what did I get? I wrote it down. Where did I write it down? Did I write it down in my? Did I write down my book? I did not. Oh, I did. Okay, it was on April 10th. Vinyl Cafe playlist. Whiplash, Chet Baker, It Could Happen to You, George, FRR. Tyler, The One with Bees. I didn't remember. I didn't remember the album name. I believe it's Flower Boy. Tyler, quotation mark, The One with Bees. And the next one, Harry Styles, The Fish Eye. The Fish Eye album. I don't remember the name for that one too, but I did, after I was listening to it, I did download two more songs that I like. They were Falling and To Be So Lonely. And that album name was Fine Line. The Fish Eye album. And then the last one was the Tyler, the Creator, the traveling one. I don't remember what was the name, but I like that album too. Hold on. Tyler, the Creator. It was the newest one that he had. Flower Boy. Call Me If You Get Lost. The Estate. Yeah, Call Me If You Get Lost. That one. But unfortunately, we didn't have time to listen to that one, so I only listened to Harry Styles and The Flower Boy. But it was very, I don't know, it was a very calming experience. And then after that, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so hungry, can't. Let's go eat. So we went all the way up to the rooftop. Well, not the rooftop, but just like the highest floor. The food mart was poppin', and thus there were no empty tables in sight. Like, we did a loop-de-doop maybe like 4 or 5 times. We even split up. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go left, you go right. If you find a table, call me. Nope, we did not find a table, and we had to leave. We were like, okay, what are we gonna eat? We ended up finding like a malatang place outside, like right outside of the mall. And we sat down, and then we shared a meal. We shared a meal, and then we talked about we had like a deep conversation. It was very, I don't want to say good, because I feel like that's such a baby word. It's so surface comparing to what we actually talked about. But like weeks before, both of us kind of had like a mental breakdown. So we were able to sit down and kind of unpack it with each other. Like, this is what happened to me last week. And, you know, in the process of talking about it, we were able to kind of rationalize it with each other. It's like, it's, you know, did I do this wrong, or was there a way that I could have done it differently, or, you know, was I like, are my feelings validated, or was I kind of delusional? That was good. And then we went back into the mall. Then we just fully embraced mall energy, because we went to an arcade. And in this arcade, you know how like at Dave and Buster's and stuff, like we have those cards, like rechargeable cards, or you would have to get like cash to change it into coins, and then you do those. Luckily at this place, they're so smart. They just take card, like your actual debit card, stick it in, select the amount, and off you go. So we were spending money like Monopoly. We were not really keeping track of how many games we played. We did like some shooting games, some like safari games, and then some, what is that called in English? Because I know what is it called in Chinese, because I played it on my PSP. Yes, I know that reveals a lot about my age. I played it on my PSP back in the days. It's called it's the Japanese game with the drum, where you go boom boom boom, and then you listen to different songs, and then you can do like, you know, drumming patterns and combos and stuff. In Chinese it's called 太鼓达人, but I don't know what is it in English, and I did not pay attention what it was in Korean, but we were fully struggling with that. Then we did Pac-Man on this like the giantest display ever. We did whack-a-mole. We wanted to do air hockey, but the couples were taking quite a long time. And then what else do we do? We did like claw machines. It's like every single time we pass by someone, they're like picking up, they just successfully grabbed something, and then we were like, okay, let's try. And we just fell continuously. That's after we dropped like a few bucks at the arcade, we moved on to the gachapon place. So when we were at the vinyl cafe, they have these like floor to ceiling windows, right? So we could see the Star Library, but also these other places. And another place that we noticed was like this gachapon place. So if you didn't know what it was, is kind of like this machine from Japan where they have random goods inside these like plastic balls, and each gachapon machine is like a different theme. Maybe like this one is about cinnamon roll and chromi and pochako, and then this one is about like Spy Family. This one is about like Hunter by Hunter. So there are different themes. When we walked in there, we first of all, we're just kids with money. At the end of the day, we're just kids with money, because we walk in there, we're like, oh my gosh, this is cute. Oh my gosh, that is cute too. Wait, but what about this one? We, I didn't count, I should know, but I did not count how much money I spent at that place. But we ended up each getting like a few matching, not really matching, but we got, it's like both of us got gachapons from the same machine. So we're technically kind of matching. And then towards the end, it was like, wait a minute, we have like a few leftover coins. What should we get? And then she had suggested that we get something like jellyfish or shark, because confirmation bias. Once you believe, like you see something or you believe in something, you're gonna see a lot of it. Well, my nickname at school, kids call me jellyfish teacher, so I have like jellyfish everywhere. My entire classroom is like aquatic themed, and there was a jellyfish. Like there was a jellyfish gachapon. Like what are the chances? People don't care about jellyfish, okay? But then when we turn around, boom, there is also a shark gachapon. So even though my nickname is jellyfish and I have a lot of things that is jellyfish themed, my actual favorite animal is a shark. I don't remember if I ever explained why my favorite animal is a shark, but my favorite animal is a shark. And the reason being is there is this misconception or a myth, a pretty popularized myth, that if sharks don't keep swimming, if they don't keep swimming, okay, I was checking my grammar there, they will die, because they get oxygen when they filter water through their gills. That is a misconception. Not all sharks do that. But when I first know that fact, it had resonated with me so much, because at that time, I was fresh out of pre-med. Like, I just quit pre-med and I had no sense of direction. I was feeling very lost, but I also feared to be static. And I just felt like I had to keep trying new things. I have to keep trying to find something that stick immediately. I was afraid to waste time, because I thought once I do, when I stop, it's always harder to start again, right? Because you lose that momentum. So at that time, I had felt like I was a shark, because I had to keep swimming, or else I die. I become purposeless. So that's why sharks are my favorite animal. Not because how they look, but just because of this interesting myth. But then my friend knew of that, so she was like, "Oh, we could get something shark themed too," because I mean that day, it was like a week. It was the week of my birthday, and she had prepared birthday present for me, which was very sweet. The first gift she gave me was this. I don't know if you can hear it, but it's kind of like a fidget pen, and it's a little shark pen. Like it has a shark, it has a cute shark on it. So that's the first gift. So she already like, it's themed, because not only did I get this plastic shark pen, I also got this like plastic shark. What is it called? I don't know if you've seen it before. So the original form is a crocodile, and you can like open the crocodile and they have like rows of teeth in the bottom. Now those teeth are pressable. So if you press on one and different people participate, the one who press on the wrong teeth, the entire jaw will close on you, right? So let me, it's like right in front of me, so might as well. Ow. She had somehow managed, which is very impressive, found a shark version of that. So this is it. Oh my gosh, when I hear this sound, it's like, it's triggering. So I'm gonna press these like one tooth at a time. And once I get to the wrong one, it's gonna close on me. So let's see how, I'm gonna predict that it's gonna take me less than 5 tries because I have such bad luck when we were playing this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, okay. How about 6? Ah! I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, I wasn't far off. It took me 6 tries to get bitten. But basically, we were playing that at the cafe after we got out from the gachapon place. Because after we got out from the gachapon place, we were like, oh my gosh, we need the moment. Because it's so chaotic. Because while we were doing the gachapons, she lost hers. So we opened it, right? And then we're like, oh, I got this, and then I got this. Then while we were getting the shark ones, she had this, like, she had my presents, but she hadn't given to me yet. So she put her gachapon that's like, she already opened it. So she took the key charm and just placed it on the top of the present bag. However, the present bag is so filled, you know, if you kind of like tip it over, things could fall out. And she was trying to hide the presents with her scarf, so I couldn't see what was in it. So she just put the key charm on top of her scarf. Remember that, that's pertinent to the story. So we are trying to get new coins from the coin machine to get the shark gachapons. And well, the sharks and the jellyfish gachapons, which we didn't know if we were gonna get it for sure because it was like loads of different types of aquatic animals. There are like sharks, whale sharks, freaking penguins, I don't know, and then jellyfish. And I jokingly said, "What are the chances that we're gonna get jellyfish?" And she's like, "Let's give it a try." Lo and behold, I opened it. Oh my god, it was a jellyfish. We were like, oh my gosh! But before that, there was a traumatic roller coaster because while we were getting coins and after we got coins, she was like, wait a minute, where's my gachapon? Because when she looked at her bag, it was gone. And at the gachapon place, they were like a bunch of kids. And then we were like, no way, kids won't do that. You know, maybe it just like fell into the bag, right? So she's like, okay, step away. I don't want you to see the presents yet, but I'm gonna like look in the bag. I was like, okay. So I was just wandering around. And then when I went back to her, I was like, found it? It's like, nope, it's not in there. It must have fallen somewhere. And then she's like, let me go ask the workers. Maybe they found it or something. I was like, okay. So we kind of like went around looking at the floors, still clinging on to the hope that maybe it just, you know, fell out of the bag and it's on the ground and nobody had picked it up. But the ground was spotless, not even a single coin in sight. So we're like, okay. Then she asked. So she walked up to someone and she's like, you know, have you seen any like dropped gachapons? And then he was like, no. And then we're like, ah. I was like, it's okay, you know, let's go try again. I know it might not be the same one, but at least it'll be the same theme. So while I was getting the coins, the dude was like, oh, wait a minute. What did your gachapon look like? And she was like, it's like a little boy in the raincoat. And he was like, wait. So he went back to the counter and he's like, is it this one? So it turns out they've actually picked it up. And it was the same one that she lost. She's like, oh my gosh. And then we're like, oh my gosh. Then after that, it was as if like a gust of fortune wind just blew over us. Not only did we get the shark, what was it? Like a very cute cat shark clip. We also got the jellyfish charm that we were really hoping to get. What does that sound? Earlier. So we were like in a very good mood. Then we stopped by a cafe to like unpack all the presents. So that's where I got some very cute cat stickers that I'm still hesitant to use it because like I have this bad habit of if I get something really really cute or something I really really like, especially when it's stationary, it's very hard for me to actually use them because I just feel like, you know, if I use it, then I won't be able to admire them anymore, and I can't have it anymore, and that makes me a little like I feel, what is that thing called? It's like when you hold on to things because you're afraid that you're gonna lose it. I know there's a scientific term for it. I learned it in animal behavior class, but I've forgotten what it means. But yeah, it's like I was just like, nope, must protect it at all costs. So I haven't used any yet, but I got this set of really cute cat stickers, this shark fidget pen, my plastic shark, and then some sticky notes. It's something that we bonded over in the very very beginning. And yes, have I missed anything? Have I missed anything? I hope not. But yeah, after we, you know, like unboxed it, we play with the plastic shark thingy. This. Oh, that terrifies me. And then when we were playing, it was very hard to ignore. But the table next to us, first of all, they were speaking Cantonese. So I'm like, whoa, Cantonese people in suwon. Secondly, they were like looking at us while we were playing this like stupid kids. Grown people just playing with this plastic shark. And we were so into it because at one point the plastic shark kind of broke and we had to do like a dental check. So like we have to press on the tooth a little bit harder to see if it triggered something. Luckily it's fixed now and it doesn't take a lot to. Let me see if I can do it in 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ah! This time it took 4. See, like it's obsessed with me, or I just have a really good luck or bad luck, might I say, when it comes to this this game. What is it called? Now it really bothers me. I need to know what it's called. Plastic crocodile toy teeth. That's not a good description. Yes, they are called. Are they really called? Okay, crocodile biting finger dentist game. Oh my gosh, it's really called a crocodile dentist game? Crocodile, let's see. Crocodile teeth toy game for kids. Crocodile biting finger dentist game. Oh my gosh, they have a shark that moves. That's a remote control shark. Yeah, I'm just a kid with money. Get this away from me. Get this away from me. Anyways, I'm happy with my shark. Oops. Accidentally triggered Netflix. Okay, whew. All right. But yeah, that's what happened last Wednesday. No, not last Wednesday. Last Wednesday-ish. Then on the weekend, I was just hustling, trying to edit my video because and by I mean my past self, had committed to. Okay, this is bothering me. My air purifier is bothering me. I could hear it. Yep, that was definitely my air purifier. Okay. My past self had committed to a bet that I could finish the video that I was working on for like months. The reason why it took so long because the topic itself is kind of really broad, and I had been really, really actively reading to gather my resources, to gather my thoughts, to formulate an answer. So this video's theme or the title revolves around how to live a fuller life. It's a big question, but I feel like it's also a question that many of us ponder. And in the search of finding an answer to that, you know, I've gathered thoughts from living creatures as well as words from unbounded paper. I've read, you know, Tuesdays with Maury. What else did I read? I've even read Seneca on the shortness of life. On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous by Ocean Vuong. Um, there were some Catcher by the Rye. Uh, the reason why I sound distant is because I'm like looking at my books, and some other ones. But I was just like I was in this active reading. Would you even call that a daze? But I was just in this like it was hay fever, and I just wanted to absorb as much as I can to see, what exactly is it. Like and I wanted to distill the answers into a video, but then I kind of underestimated one how many clips it would take, because the old way of me filming is I would record here bits of my ideas every single day before I even had like a theme for a new video, because that way I feel like my videos are more authentic. Because when I edit my new videos, I go back into these past moments and I see, okay, which one of them would make sense in the topic that I'm talking about, rather than when, usually when people have a project, they come up with the storyboard and then they shoot according to the storyboard. It's like I'm trying to reach back and just sifting through all the moments to see which one fits the narrative. So it's a lot more. It's not very efficient. It takes a long time. But that was like, in my mind, this is the hill I'm willing to die on, because authenticity over like efficiency. But I underestimated how long that would. The sneeze is coming. Bless me. Thank you. But I underestimated how long that would take, and it. I had promised someone that I would have it done next Monday. No, next Friday, which is 2 days ago. And became painfully aware by the end of Wednesday, this Wednesday. So, like 3 days ago, 4 days ago, that it was like an impossible mission, because the standards that I hold my videos to, and like the speed that I was working, and plus the pockets of time that I have left in between like work and Korean class and resting, was just not a lot. And the amount of unfinished just like blank sections was greater than my estimation. So, like Mondays and Fridays are my chiller days. Like those are the days that I have a bit more time. Tuesdays and Thursdays are the days that I am actively teaching, also with Korean classes. And Wednesday I teach a class and I have meetings on those days. But still, like that week, that Wednesday, I also had a dinner with my coworkers after work. So I didn't have a lot of time to edit that day. And also on that night, on that night, I had my very first highball. So I'm like a bit trying to fight off alcohol. I wasn't drunk, but I definitely felt a little bit buzzed. So I guess you could say that I'm a little bit tipsy. And I was just like trying to battle all of that, and then the fatigue, and I just could not edit much. Then Thursday rolls around and I'm like fully in panic mode, like, oh my gosh, we're not getting there. And I told myself, tonight, you're not going to sleep until you finish everything. And I believe that day I stayed up until 3-ish, 4. Yes. Yeah, I stayed at like 3:30, and I was like, my brain is not functioning anymore. If I were to continue to edit, it's just gonna like be like gibberish. So the thing is, if you were to just slap random videos into my timeline and call it a day, yes, of course I could have had it done by Friday. But I didn't want to give up my standards. I know, toxic perfectionism. I did not want to give up my standards in how I storytell. So it just ended up taking so much longer. And Friday comes around. I almost forgotten that there was a meeting. There was a meeting for the native teachers at 12. So I got up at 7 because I set an alarm at 7. I was like, okay, you're gonna go to sleep for 4 hours and wake up and edit again. From 7 to 10, actually, yeah, from 7 to 10, I was editing. And we were like barely 60% done, like 60%, maybe 70, but we were not done. And I was like, I need to get ready to go to work because the meeting is at 12. Takes me like an hour and 15 minutes to get to work. So that means I have to leave by 10:45. I have not left at 10:45. I was not ready to go. So I was like, okay, what can I do? I can't be late for this, like my actual work, my actual bread and butter. So I'm gonna take a taxi. Luckily, it's gonna take 20 minutes less if I were to take taxi. So I was like, I'm gonna do it. So I took a taxi and I had rationalized with myself that if I were to take a taxi, I can actually edit in the taxi. So I took my laptop and my hard drive, and I just put on my headphones, and for the 52 minutes, yep, I know it down to the T, for the 52 minutes taxi ride, I was just furiously editing in the taxi, and thank God the video is finally done. That was the most intense taxi drive, like day in 2024, I think. Like I was just like, oh my gosh, it's not working, and I'm running on like 4 hours of sleep. And then that day I decided to get a blonde latte, which not a very good idea because blonde is quite strong since it's not very roasted. And it's my go-to drink, like blonde hazelnut latte, iced. But that day I had a cold. Wait, what? But that day I had a hot because I wasn't paying attention to what I was ordering. But once I had it, it was like crack in my veins because I was literally vibrating. Like I felt like I was a star. Not in like a celebrity kind of way, more like a planet that's ready to explode kind of way. So that day I just felt like the entire day. But I it was like going through childbirth and then finally birthing that child, and I was like, oh my gosh, finally my uterus is free. It had been on my mind for that entire week, so I was just really happy to have it gone. Not really gone, like finally releasing it out into the universe. I mean, at this point, it's out of my hands. The whatever I've said has been said, and the rest is for the internet to decide. And I received a few like surprising comments that I didn't anticipate on getting. Like I just didn't think that those people would comment or would say the things that they've said. So I just got this really like I felt very not just reassured, I felt very content with what I had put out. So that was on Friday, but then Saturday was also an extremely busy day because we had our very first company sports day. So usually I won't sign up for events like this, but one of my goals this year was to live a fuller life. And it's surprising to say, but I actually, I feel like I've accomplished that goal already. So it's only in April, but I felt like, I step out of my comfort zone to meet new people and to sustain those connections and try out a lot of things that I've wanted to do but haven't done. Like I went to pottery class, I made my own cup, went snowboarding. Like I just did a lot of things that I had always wanted to do but was afraid to do so or was hesitant to do so. And now I just felt like, my weekends have been busier than ever. I'm meeting people and I'm editing, or I'm trying new things, and hi Uni. It's like I've ticked off something I wanted to do in a long time, something I've set for the entire year to accomplish, and it feels weird to be early to the party for once. But I'm not neglect. I don't mind it. It's a great start or it's a great end. But then another thing that I continue to do is just saying yes to new opportunities. And this company sports day, it's called an all-star day, was one of those opportunities. Like, so this event is where all the branches get together. You get put into random groups, and then we compete in team events for to practice, teamwork, as well as just bonding with different people that we work with. And it's a good way to network and also get to know all the other foreign teachers who are working in the company. So if you have something that's like similar interest, you can essentially find yourself a new friend, right? So I had signed up, and I was trying to see who else was going, but I signed up before I knew anyone I know was going. So we showed up. It was in this news, well, where it was held, it was the first city that I lived in Korea when I first, wow, that was not English. It was the first place I've worked, or the city where I worked first. Let me just stop talking. It's a satellite city called Hanam. So it's a bit outside of Seoul. It takes about, for me, it takes about an hour and 45 minutes to get there. So I got up bright and early, changed, and took a subway there. Then we got into groups. We were in different color teams. Originally, I was beige, but then our something was wrong with the beige team. I think some of us was not able to make it because of how far, because it's all of the branches in like Seoul and the surrounding areas coming to this satellite city. So some of them were going to be late to some events. So because of that, I was redistributed to the red team. Which, to give you a context, the red teams, there were only 4 of us at the time, and then our 5th man showed up later because commute. But 2 of them, oh my gosh, they are like pine trees. They are so tall. When I turn around, I'm like at an eye level with their chest. So I look so puny. I look like a child when I was standing next to them. But I really genuinely had a lot of fun that day. We did activities like, there were activities that tested like core strength, arm strength, reactions, coordination, intelligence. We had dodgeball, and then we had like some chariot games, friends or enemy games. It was really, really fun. And then at the end of the day, we had this short but pleasant walk next to the stream to have like our company dinner at this Korean barbecue place. Tons of meat. We could not even finish. Meats and drinks were provided, and we were yet again shuffled into different groups so that we could socialize with each other. So we did that, and then I'm at this point, my social battery was at 1%. It's like I could feel myself shutting down because it's like, I know I had to be extroverted on a day like this, and I was to the best of my abilities, but also I was just so ready to just meow, 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 shut down. But that night I had another plan with the friend that I ventured out in Suwon. Hold on. I had another plan with the same friend who I've ventured Suwon with. Is that even? No, you understand what I mean. So the same friend that I had fun with on the vacation day, right? We decided to kind of have our own confession time in a sense, because after first meeting with each other and after sharing a lot of the things over a phone call, which, like, I have not had a 2-hour phone call with someone who I've like just met not too long ago in a long time. So the longest I've talked, or the person that I would spend a lot of time talking to, like physically FaceTiming, is my best friend. Like we can go like 2.5 hours depending on what we have in our schedule. But like talking on the phone with someone who I haven't had that much time not only invested, but like it felt like we didn't have. If you were to use time as a measurement of friendship, is it was like a new friend, and I didn't expect myself to connect with a new friend to that degree. And we had thought of, you know what, let's not talk about all of our, not only trauma but other things too. Let's not talk about that over the phone. How about let's find like a designated day where we sit down and we actually get to, spill our guts. Oh gosh, that's my hand cream. Find a proper time and place to actually dish out everything. And then we had thought, well, both of us are going to the company sports day, then why don't we do that after the dinner? So we, after weaseling our way out of the dinner, some people started leaving, but most of them were decently buzzed, if not drunk. So we're like, we're just gonna leave to go home. And actually, we went to take like a photo booth picture together. Then afterwards, we were, the original plan was to go to the Han River or the Banpo Park, Han River Park, to sit down and chit chat. But that day it was raining. It was drizzling, but still it was raining. So there was no chances of us sitting on the grass or sitting on the bench. So we were like, how about we just, walk around the subway station, and as long as we're close, we should be fine. So we ended up finding a Dunkin' Donuts, and then we basically sat down and introduced ourselves. So have you seen those videos where like friends at their reunions, they pull up a PowerPoint presentation and update each other via PowerPoints or keynotes? So we were kind of inspired by that, and she had done a PowerPoint or a Google slide, right? And for me, I was like, "Who? I'm gonna do it with note cards." So I went to Daiso, and I found these like vocabulary note cards, because kids are trying to remember like English or whatever. I was like, I'm gonna do it this way. And when I was on commute, so when I'm traveling back and forth, I would just start writing on the note cards, and I had like actually I made a pretty decent dent. My topics include how did I get here, as in like Korea. How did I get here? About me, ask me anything. Lifestyles over the weekends, lifestyle over the weekdays, my red flags, my beige, dare I say green flags, my Roman empires, hard no's for me, so like my non-negotiables, death row last meal. Okay, I know how unhinged this sounds. It sounds like my brain was not in a continuous line, because listen, I was doing this over commute, so my thoughts were already very like pragmatic. Wait, is that a right word? Is pragmatic a right word? Is pragmatic a word? Or fragmented? Fragment. Fragment. Is that a word? No, that's a company name. Wait, pragmatic. Fragmented. Right? Tell me. Fragment. Break or cause break into fragment. Yeah. So my thoughts were already fragmented. That's why these are so out of the place. So death row last meal, my baggages, aka my traumas, go-to snack options, what I miss the most from the land of Benjamins and bald eagles. So what I miss the most from America. My goals for 2024. Yes, I know it's April. Bucket list. Guilty pleasures. What gives me energy? Because at that point I was feeling so delirious coming back from work. And then describe your childhood in 3 words. Favorite quote or life lesson. A moment you would like to relive. Something you want to try or do before you die. A song that holds a special place in your heart. something that's been on your mind lately, something you wish someone had told you sooner, or something you wish you'd realized sooner. What did you enjoy doing as a kid? Biggest fear in college. Favorite thing about life. Unpopular opinion. Top 3 songs in Spotify repeat playlist. What does happiness look like to you? What do you want at the moment? It could be anything. The most unbelievable feeling you felt. Your holy grail. Fears. Something you want to heal from this year. And then but I asked her these questions. Well, I presented my answers, and I also asked her some of these questions. And then she did her little PowerPoint presentation. So we're like the only customer at this random Dunkin' Donuts. And at the time it was about like 10-ish, and it went on much longer. I think it went on like till 11:30 or 10:30, something like that. But it just lasted so long, and it's so nice to have that kind of conversation. For me, I really enjoy deep conversations with someone else. I think it's kind of like an indescribable feeling, and I think I really value it, especially that I feel like this year I finally felt like I am starting to know or understand myself more, thanks to like the books I've read, the thoughts I've reflected on, the journals I've written, and the tests that I've taken about myself. I think I was able to come to terms with how I process my external stimuli, and I'm still learning how to process unconditional love, because to me, when I receive any form of love, I have to give it back. It's like something I can't just let it linger within me, because I feel like I always owe someone something. And this year I've also learned how to be present and vulnerable, and just overall not holding back on my words. If I feel appreciative towards someone, I let them know. If I feel like I love someone or something, I let them know. I feel like there's no need to hold back anymore. It doesn't appreciate in any way if I were to not speak it out into the universe, right? And another thing I realized this year was that and this is not just from talking to her at Dunkin's. We also had that like 2-hour phone call together when we were kind of bonding. No, we were bonding, not kind of bonding. Bonding, trauma dumping, whatever you want to call it. Connecting. But that's the right word. We were connecting. And another thing I told her was that, at this point in my life, I know, and I've seen and I've realized the progress that I've made on understanding myself and how I operate. And I also understand that therapy is the last piece of puzzle that I need to fully untangle all these knots. But I'm afraid to see how broken I really am beneath this mask that I've been wearing to kind of survive my turmoils. I know I need help. I'm aware. I'm not delusional. I'm not saying I'm fine. No, I know I'm not fine. I'm just being highly functional right now. And I know I need to untangle. I've untangled my thoughts to a point where I know the last knot that or the last few knots that needs to be untied. I just haven't touched them yet, because I feel like who I untie it with and when I untie them is a big factor. It's easy to spill your guts to a friend or to a stranger, but it also comes with like a big risk, or the vulnerability of, now that you know all my narratives, will my narratives be, one, shared with the world before I'm ready, because maybe like my friend accidentally slipped up, or they just are a person who tends to tell other people things that someone disclosed to them only. So I think the only way for me to feel safe enough to dish out everything is under the protection of HIPAA, right? So my confidentiality is protected if I go to a licensed therapist. Like they're legally required to keep my baggages private. So, you know, that's what I know. Like I know I need therapy. I'm aware. I just have to pay off my loans first, and I would have the financial freedom and space, mental space, to untie those knots with someone else's help. Because I know I've done all that I could myself, but I need an extra pair of hands. I've also learned that, you know, my viewpoints can't be perceived by everyone. I've worked and come in contact with people who shared very different views, and when we were talking together about certain things, and I come to realize that, you know, either they don't agree with my points, or they're just not the same type of person, and that's not how they process life. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just like we walk in very different shoes, we look through very different scopes. So the way we perceive everything is different. And I can't make everyone see things the way that I see things. It's just too idealistic and even selfish to a certain degree. Yeah, but at Dunkin's, we talked to like a greater degree of, I guess I got to know more of her trauma, and then also realize more like eerie connections between what she had gone through and what I've experienced. So it's like I'm already a sympathizer, but I could empathize it even more because I've myself have gone through similar things. So it was just kind of like unreal. And the funny thing is, when we first stepped into the Dunkin' Donuts, we made our orders. And as soon as we put down our orders, they were like fireworks or like fire shows outside. So it was just, we literally stood outside and watched firework for like a good 5 minutes. And then we went back in. We're like, that was a, you know, like a nice little surprise. Then we talked about all that baggages, as if we were like an airport baggage claim. Then we went back, and then on Sunday, I had told myself, you know, I really, really wanted to just rest that day because it's been such a hectic week. But I also wanted to show up at Taro's very first solo photo exhibition show. So he has this place in Seongsu. It's called Separates. And he has been just working tirelessly day and night to like set up the exhibition, managing all like the merch stuff, the printing stuff with like a good mentor and friend. So he's been super busy, and I'm just witnessing everything, and I'm extremely proud of everything that he has done, and the fact that he could hold up to such extreme pressure and manage to do all these things, even though he goes to work at like, he does like a 9 to 6, and then after 6 he like works on his exhibition all the way to like 2. Sometimes he would get home even like later than that, and then having to get up again to go to work and repeat, rinse and repeat, right? So I'm like, this is incredible. I cannot believe how you're doing this. I just want you to know. And of course, I want to go support him at his show. I couldn't do it on the first day because first day was Saturday, and Saturday was the company sports day. So I went the second day, and I had kind of disclosed it to the friend that I went to Dunkin's with. She was like, "Oh, I want to visit too." Because I asked her, "Do you want to visit the exhibition?" She already had plans today. Today is Sunday, but she's like, "Wait, I could, you know, squeeze in during this time." And then I was like, no pressure. If you can come, fantastic. If you can't, that's absolutely okay. So I went there. Actually, I was too ambitious. I still had a lot of things that I wanted to do. Like, I wanted to go to this place to get like a shirt that I really liked. I wanted to go to Haiti to get boba. I wanted to go drop off my films at the development place so that I could get my motherland films developed, which I didn't get to do today because I got up at 8, naturally, circadian rhythm, but my body is also very honest and understands that no, that was not enough sleep. And I got up at 8, I did my laundry, and I fell asleep playing PS4. I fell asleep playing FIFA. And then when I got up again, it was 1 p.m., pushing 2. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so behind on my schedule. And then the friend had texted me asking me when am I going to be there? And I had told her 4. But then I hung up all my laundry and I was getting ready. And at that time it was already 3. And I was like, wait a minute, it takes about like an hour and something to get there. So I ended up getting to the exhibition at like 5. And then I met them, gave them like a very brief tour. Then after I sent them away, I went back to the exhibition, and then I had Taro kind of like walk me through his exhibition and like the meanings behind the placement of the photos, and then the pieces that he had at his exhibition. And I'm just, again, I've said it once, I'll continue to say it. I'm so proud of him and his work. And then we took Polaroid there. Then I went off to complete the rest of my bucket list, and here we are. It's just been such a long day / week. But also as I was coming home, and for my last bus, it wasn't going to arrive until like 14 minutes. So I'm like, you know what, let me just walk home. And as I was walking home, I kind of had this like epiphany. I don't know if you can call it an epiphany, but kind of an epiphany. That's, I continue to see this pattern. And sometimes, like, when you see enough patterns, you're like, wait, am I delusional, or are you alluding to like some kind of a conclusion? And for me, is that I realize that I didn't see this as like my purpose, but it has happened enough times where now I start to question myself, is this what I meant to be doing? Which I don't mind it, but I do feel emotionally impacted by it. So I had, while throughout my time in Korea, there were a few chances where I've connected with some people in like a deeper level and became very close to them, emotionally. And then it's like when they find me, they're in this, I wouldn't say a broken state, but more like a hurt state. And then I do what I do, and I kind of, in a way, heal them, or I give them whatever they're seeking, right? Whether it's love or attention or validation or just accompaniment. And I give them that. Then lo and behold, they leave, like physically leave the country. And, we're still friends, of course, but it's like it's like a car that comes to a gas station, fill themselves up, and then they leave to go on to carry on the rest of their journey. And I can't help but to feel like that, because that situation kept on repeating itself. And I even wrote that down when I was, hello plastic shark, on the subway, because that's when I kind of realized it. But then I kept thinking about it. I said, April 21st, it's hard to draw a conclusion once you've noticed a pattern. It's hard not to draw a conclusion. Let me change it. It's hard. It's hard not to draw a conclusion once you've noticed a pattern. The topic of one's purpose, especially mine, has never once left my mind. But lately, I find myself digging and buried in the same hole I've dug. Yeah. I kept finding my way out of my comfort zone, encounter someone that I connect with, heal them from their states, and finding myself having to let them go because some twist and turns of events. Am I really a gas station where I refill those who stops by with whatever I can give, hope, love, will? Then I have to watch them leave to go on to their next destination or somewhere better. It is an honor, truly, to have the tools or skills or gift to be able to heal others. But I can't help but feel sad when I have to let them go. When I have to let another go just when I find their company meaningful. But if this is my purpose, I hope I'll get to a point where letting go doesn't hurt as much. And just maybe someone will finally stay for a while. So it's like I kept having these connections taken away from me. And I just want to know, am I right? Am I spot on? Is this what I'm meant to do with my life? Or what is it? I can't lie to you and say that, oh, like, it doesn't bother me. It does, and it does quite a lot to a great amount of degrees. But it's something I can't change. Like, I can't dictate the trajectory of their life, the course of their life. I can't even dictate mine. But it sounds childish, but I wish they didn't have to go. I wish we could stay a bit longer and continue to enjoy each other's presence physically. But yeah, that was an epiphany that I had today on my way home with my clothes and hay tea, which I've gotten two today. One boba, one fruit tea, and I felt like I've overexerted myself. But hey, I have a health check tomorrow and I can't eat or drink for 10 hours, so let me be. Please. Yeah. Is this how my April is gonna end? If so, I mean, there's nothing I could do to change it. If so, I felt like I've lived a pretty good, fulfilled April. I'm just really glad that video is finally out of my vault and I could start working on my next one, which is the one about Motherland. And I think I'm gonna record the voiceover right after this. I just need to stay disciplined. Oh, you know what? Some of the things that I've written down, I think it's good to share. Let's see. Most unbelievable feeling? No. Oh, how about this one? What do you want at the moment? It could be anything. I said peace, or time to think and just be. Maybe brew a pot of tea, listen to vinyls, or just indulge in silence. Watch the sunrise, or a little nice bike ride around the stream. Catching up over a warm meal, or perhaps a movie before bed. That's what I really want at the moment. And another one. Oh, what does happiness look like to you? For me, I said 1 house, 2 people, 3 meals, and 4 seasons. And I remember my friend asking me, he's like, 2 people, like, do you mean like you don't want kids? I'm like, first of all, yes, I do not want kids. Secondly, she's like, do you mean by like couples, or does it? I was like, no, not necessarily. It could be, 2 lovers, but also it could just be you and another person. And the reason why I didn't say like 3, because I feel like when you have like a trio or even like a quad, it's nice to have big company, but it for me, it's hard to divide my attention equally when there are more than one person in front of me. I feel like if I just have one person, I could give my full attention to them and be attentive to their stories and whatever they decide to share. So that's what happiness means to me. How about this one? Favorite thing about life. For me, I said, my favorite thing about life is the freedom to interpret and the joy of discovery. Whether it's the community around me, the seasons, or this mind of mine. The joys, or sometimes even the pain, but only in the aftermath of it all. Okay, Julie, when you're delirious, you can write some interesting things. What about this one? Oof. Biggest fear in college. Failing to fulfill my parents' label for me, even though everything was practically falling apart in front of my eyes. 2, finding out if I was clinically depressed. Yeah, I was afraid to find out. 3, feeling lost or not purposeful. Because in college, I had tried to rationalize my commitment to pre-med. 1 is because of filial obedience, right? Because my parents wanted this for me, therefore I need to want it too. But another thing is I genuinely wanted to help people. Like I have this desire to serve. So it was conflicting for me because my values aligned with medicine, but my passion did not. It's like I wanted to do that, but in a different medium, in a different format, and it was just not sticking with me. The last fear I had in college was 4, having to confront my parents at one point about stopping pre-med. Yeah, that was a terrifying in and out experience. Literally, I was at my part-time job, and then my parents and my sister stopped by to, I guess, check up on me after I took the MCAT, and I have already had my MCAT scores. So that was the day I decided, you know what, MCAT is going to be the last thing that I do. I need to let them know that I'm done. So we sat down, we ordered our food, and then I remember unwrapping my burger and just really staring into the soul of that patty. And I'm just thinking, okay, you got to do it. So when they were asking me, what's next, I said, I don't think I'm going to continue doing pre-med. Let me tell you, that was the deadliest silence I've ever heard in my entire life. It's like I could hear a pin drop. I could hear people in the back flipping burgers, flipping patties. I was just dead set on staring at my hamburger. I'm like, wow, look at all this moisture on the lettuce. Like, look at the sauce just dripping down. I was looking at everywhere except my parents. So I'm just fixated. And then eventually, my mom didn't say anything that entire meal, which terrified me. But then at least my dad was like, okay, then, what else do you plan on doing? And I'm like, oh, I'm planning on trying UX, UI, or graphic design, or computer modeling. I'm going to keep trying. Don't worry, I'm not going to stop. I just don't think I can do pre-med anymore. I tried. I really did. But it's just not sticking. It's just not for me. That was terrifying. I don't want to relive that moment again. Not even as a bystander, not even as a spectator, because it just hurts too much to witness. But yeah, that was my week and a half wrapped up in one podcast. See, I'm becoming better at yapping, which is bad news because these podcasts keep getting longer. And for those of you who stuck to the end, I'm proud of you. I cannot believe now you know so much more about me. I feel like I'm pretty transparent when it comes to my podcast, and especially my videos. It's like you basically bear your soul with me, or I bear my soul with you through my videos, and I continue to do that in the context of my podcast as well. But thank you always for being a listener, to being open to receive my narratives, my stories, and the thoughts that I want to share with you this way. But I think this is a good place to conclude my podcast because I'm slowly becoming delirious and my mom is bombarding me with calls. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if I'm mentally ready to pick up a call, but I'll call her back. If not, she'll be worried or concerned. So thank you for listening to the 83rd podcast of Lactose Intolerant as I continue to discover about myself and my inner thoughts. Hopefully at the end of this week, I have something else juicy for you. But if not, I will share the mundanity that had brought me comfort or joy throughout the week as well. Take care of yourself. The yellow dust or microdust is really bad in Korea these days. And I keep forgetting to take and wear a mask with me, and I'm really feeling it in my throat because it's kind of itchy. So wherever you are, be careful. Make sure you pay attention to the air quality, as well as the chance of precipitation. I'm seeing a lot of thunderstorms lately, so be careful. The seasons are changing, so make sure you don't underdress because you just might catch a cold from all of that. Without further ado, I'm gonna let you go. Take care of yourself, and thank you as always. I will see you next week, hopefully at the same time, but can't guarantee that. Okay?